Right, 11 is now still functions, lesson 2, but the second video. Right, so let's look at example 3. Now, the minute you see this equation here, people, you should recognize it as, yes, a hyperbola, not a quadratic equation, not a parabola, but a hyperbola. That is what you should recognize. So if I ask you to sketch this graph, then there's a couple of things you must look at. Let's first start with the mother graph. Now, this is the mother graph if the one on top there, which is normally A, is positive. So if that one up there is positive, then the graph will lie in the first and in the third quadrant. And take note, guys, x cannot be 0 because division by 0 is not allowed. So therefore, the graph will never touch the x and y axis. So the x and y axis will be the asymptotes. They will not touch them. So please remember that now. Right. If your a value is negative, right, then the graph will lie in the second and in the fourth quadrant. Second and fourth quadrant. And it still doesn't touch the x and y axis. So x and y is still the asymptote. Let's go back to the original equation. So now, so there you are, -6. So a is a -6. So now we know it is in the second and the fourth quadrant, right? We'll come now to that too, just now. Right, so that is the first step. So that is your mother graph. Then the graph got a new, of course, a value of p equals to 2. Now take here, just take it back again. P equals to 2. So that is x plus p. That 2 is actually a p. So p is a plus 2. Now what does it tell us? Well, that plus 2 tells us that the graph will shift 2 spaces, or rather the y-axis will shift 2 spaces to the left. Again, the opposite than what you expect. Right. Although it's a plus 2, it moves 2 spaces to the left. And that is now the new position for the y-axis. And that is the new asymptote. So therefore, you're going to draw the arm there and draw the arm there, because this is now the new asymptote. However, the graph here touches the y-axis, so I can find that value by substituting certain values into the equation. So what you do is you just make x 0, because remember that point is where x is 0. If I put x 0 into the equation, I get a -3. So therefore that point should be -3. So the final graph, there you are. Let's quickly again remember the new position. The dotted line is a new position of the y-axis, and this point is -3. Parabolas still don't touch the asymptotes. So very important that you must take note of that. Right, this is now an exponential graph, right? We can quickly look at it. That's how we know it is an exponential graph, because we have x in the exponent. So therefore, exponential graph. So let's look at this graph and see how can we go about sketching it. First of all, if this 2 here is a whole number, then the graph will have what we call, it will go from left up. So it is what we call an increasing function. If this 2 here was a fraction, it will go the other way. It will have a decreasing function. I'm sure you still remember this from grade 10. We're going to discuss 3 just now, and we're going to discuss that 1 just now. So the fact that x is in the exponent tells us that this is an exponential curve. B is equal to 2, so it's greater than 1. Number 2 is your so-called B is greater than 1. So the mother graph is 2 to the power x. That's the mother graph. It goes through 1. We call it an increasing exponential graph. So A is 3. So the graph must be stretched but not refracted. Right. So in B is 2 greater than 1. Cool. So there you are. So now the graph moves up to 3. You see? Because they tell you that A is 3. Just take it back quickly to show you. Right. You see that? There's 3 there. It will tell you where the graph will move. So the mother graph normally goes through 1, because it is 1x squared, but if there's a 3, it will go through 3x squared. So remember that. So there you are. That explains that 3. Then next, the P is a +1. So that move means the graph must shift 1 unit to the left. Now, where is this +1, people? Let's go back to the equation quickly. It is this x +1. So that +1 tells you the graph will shift 1 position to the left. It moves 1 position to the left. Right. And we can make x0 to get that y-intercept. And there's your final sketch. All right, I hope you're okay with that one. Not so difficult. Then the exercise, please, it might going to be a bit difficult, but please start working through it. And then I will give you the memo, hopefully by tomorrow. Okay, end of the lesson.